which will also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasiewicz.
Welcome everyone to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. This is episode 218. This week we've got Jim Fuhs. Jim Fuhs is joining us again, co-hosting the show in place of Phil. Phil's had a lot going on lately, so really good to have Jim back in the hot seat here. Now, this week we have a fantastic guest. Our guest is Jennifer Quinn, often known as Jenny Q. She's into live streaming. She actually has a book on Amazon. But I'm going to bring on Jim. We're going to introduce Jenny, and we're going to get things going. So, Jim, how you doing?
Great, Christian. Thanks for having me on again. It's always a pleasure to pinch hit for Phil, because, he does live in Tampa Bay where the Rays play. And very excited to have Jenny Q on the show today. Jenny Q was on the Tim and Jim show recently, and just a wealth of knowledge on live streaming, and excited to hear about some of the things that she's doing now in her new role as a CMO, working with a company in virtual and augmented reality.
Fantastic. So I'm going to bring on Jenny. I'm going to do a couple of things behind the scenes, and I know we've got some fantastic topics to talk about this week: IGTV, Facebook, Twitter, even a Wikipedia update. So Jenny, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's so great to be on your show. That's something you don't hear very often. There's a Wikipedia update, so that'll be fun to cover, right? You don't hear that every day.
So, do you want to tell people? You started doing, I think, live streaming, right? And then now you're doing, is it virtual reality, augmented reality?
Yeah, so I have a marketing company, just a really quick thing, a marketing company, digital marketing. And then in 2015, I fell in love with live streaming. And really, it's more like I became obsessed and addicted. And then, started interviewing people, and it has just grown from there. As you guys know, video is hot. Live streaming is powerful to build connections and relationships and trust. And so it's really a powerful tool for businesses and personal brands. And so that's what I do. Recently, I joined the team of 360 Immersive, headquartered in Boise, Idaho, as their chief marketing officer. And, it's a perfect fit because I love technology for how we can connect as humans around the world. And so it's just the next layer, virtual reality. We have barely scratched the surface with VR. And so, so the applications of how we are going to connect and learn and really become more aware of how everybody experiences life is just beginning.
Yeah. So VR, I love VR. I love the prospects of it. The biggest thing I think for a lot of people is, how does it apply to me as a business owner?
Yeah.
How can I implement it in my business? Because, some of the technology that's out there is, it's just in the early stages. People will have to have these really powerful computers for the most part to create some of these, fantastic virtual worlds. But, I think at some point, just like with live video, I think you're going to start to see you're going to start to see things kind of shift to where like everybody can tap into the power of VR. So we'll be talking more about that later on in the show, because I think we have a really good tool as well we want to share with viewers.
Yes, totally. Yep, I agree. We're going to see VR, AR, and now the aggregate term is XR take over. But I think before that happens, for critical mass, we're going to be seeing a lot more 360 video, live video, 360 live video.
Yeah.
People want to be immersed in what we're doing as broadcasters.
Definitely. And, that actually reminds me of like the GoPro 8, for example, that just came out. They have now built some add-ons that go onto your devices. So they basically allow you to have the 360 aspect on some of the models as well as the regular GoPro filming. So I think that kind of equipment lends itself to being ready for that 360-degree video, as you mentioned. So,
yeah, totally.
So are y'all ready to get started, by the way, with the topics we have this week?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Jim, where do you want to start, by the way?
Let's start with Instagram TV, the big mystery that lots of people don't know about.
Oh, that's sad but true.
So what do we have going on here, Jim?
So Instagram has come out with a new display layout. So once again, it's a new layout, but and I don't know if the two of you run into it. A lot of times when you ask people like, hey, do you know about Instagram TV? You get kind of this puzzled look like, you mean Instagram? It's like, no, it's its own app. And yes, you can access it through the app. So it looks like, they keep pushing to get away for people to be able to see the stuff. So they're changing layouts. I'm still think that it's well, if you want to call it an ability, the desire to compete with YouTube, and and of course Facebook Watch I think is doing the same thing. My perspective, others may have different opinions. Love to hear your alls. It's that continuation in trying to be all things to all people and not focusing on what they're good at.
So, what do you think needs to happen, by the way, to get more people to adopt IGTV, or do they just kind of need to just abandon that project altogether?
I think part of it is it's not easy in a sense to create. You have to upload it, right? You don't make it easy, right? We can't use some of these other tools like StreamYard to create a video to go straight to Instagram TV. So too many steps, I'm not going to do it. What do you think, Jenny?
Well, I agree. I think that they kind of maybe shot themselves in the foot when they first launched by insisting that vertical video was absolutely the newest thing. That was too big of a shift for content creators to make, because we up until that point we're used to horizontal video with Facebook and YouTube, and the only other vertical app would be Periscope, and that's not one of the big players. And so I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that. I don't know that it's dead yet, though, and here's why. They are making the adjustments. I think in order to be successful moving forward, they need to make discoverability easier, not just within Instagram, but all, because right now you go Google a topic and YouTube is fed first. It just is. So I don't know how Instagram's going to do that, or IGTV, but I think that would be the way that they need to get more eyeballs on it and get more creators. But they're not. I don't think they're dead yet. I see a lot of big brands and big personal brands and big influencers using it consistently. So, yeah.
So I think partly so from a design standpoint, I think that one big issue for me at least is that I think a lot of the people that are trying to tap into these platforms, I think they don't think too much about their content. I think that they just film something one way and think, okay, I'm just going to slap this up onto another platform. There's no strategy. They're trying to move, 100 miles an hour, but in actuality, they're moving like maybe 20, 25, and they're just trying to take a whole bunch of shortcuts, in this case, to get their content onto the IGTV platform. So therefore, when the user then has their first experience with watching IGTV, I think that the user is kind of in a way put off by it as well, because the content maybe just doesn't necessarily fit the space they're trying to play in. Now, on the flip side of that, I think another thing that also could be very useful, at least, in my opinion, would be just to make IGTV a little more prominent. Like, for example, you mentioned, how do you get to show up in Google search? It's the same way like IGTV images or Instagram images don't show up in Google image search. Instagram needs to make that public. And, and I know at some point they had the ability to add some like SEO factors, but they weren't really SEO factors. They were more for like, what's the word I'm looking for? They were more for helping people that had disabilities being able to analyze the content that way. They were not SEO based. So that's where I think that if they want to get into Google image and Google video search and get Google to actually start to crawl this, I think they need to make it public.
Yes. That's my big yes, exclamation point. I agree.
So, Jim, anything else y'all want to add on this whole idea? I mean, they're testing IGTV. They need some better discovery, to help surface this. They need to not bury the content so much. I mean, granted, they do put them on a profile. If you have IGTV, there's an introductory, or there's a IGTV bookmark basically that can go there. But anything else you want to add to this? Maybe how a business might want to get started, test some of this stuff out. What do you think?
Well, I think the testing is important, but even like myself, I think I had 9 or 10 episodes early on when it had to be profile, and I don't think a lot of people know that I did any IGTV, even though it's still out there. So I think it does have to be easier. I think you hit on an excellent point to echo what Jenny said about the SEO capability of not just Instagram in general, but especially the videos, because otherwise it's like, if I make a quality video, I'm just going to put it on YouTube because I know it can get found, and that's where most people are searching.
Definitely. How about you, Jenny? Any last thoughts on IGTV testing these new display layouts?
I think they should keep testing because they're going to land on something. They've got the financial backing to keep going, so I don't see it going away anytime soon. One thing that I do think that they're doing well with IGTV is it is showing up in, they are featuring IGTV videos in the regular search for Instagram. So that's good. I mean, I find myself accidentally, this is an IGTV, but it caught my attention. That is where Instagram is crushing it, is serving up exactly what the viewer is looking for. At least in my opinion, I manage several different Instagram accounts, and the suggested feed is very different in each account. So they're really doing a good job there.
Great. So my last parting thought, I think, on IGTV would be, and I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball here, and then we're going to switch topics. So I think that what needs to happen is, if they really want IGTV to become a big player, they need to do what Jim said. If somebody can put something up on YouTube and get traffic that way and get views and content, Instagram needs to copy that. But I think also, I would actually love to see it where if somebody came to your Instagram profile, they were seeing, almost like you have on YouTube, a preview video that you could record that is specifically built around IGTV, and then bring somebody into your profile. I think right now it goes the opposite way. Hey, you take me to my profile, and then you can see bookmarks. If IGTV wants to, I think, be their big thing, because they know people want video, they need to flip, I think, things around, make the focus on video and not necessarily on Instagram itself. So with that, we're going to switch gears. Jim, where do you want to go next?
Let's go to Twitter.
So what do we have going on here? Because I know we talked offline. We had a lot of different topics about Twitter. We even had some that were breaking literally right before we started the show.
Yes, I think the one that, and in some aspects, I think is really big, and we hadn't even had a chance to see it, is the Twitter scheduling in Twitter itself.
Yes. So I've got this pulled up here, by the way. So what do we have going on here? So I know people could use TweetDeck. They can use third-party scheduling tools. What do we got going on?
Well, you're going to actually be able to schedule tweets, native in the app. You won't have to go to TweetDeck. You won't have to use third-party apps. And I think we talked about this a little bit beforehand. And Jenny, brought up a great point, is like, all these apps are going more and more until where they want you to schedule natively within the app. When you look at what Facebook has done with Creator Studio and forcing you to use Creator Studio, one, to schedule natively in Facebook, but two, you can also now schedule on Instagram. It really brings into, by adding Twitter into this mix as well. Yeah. Why would you get a third-party tool? And at what point will they start shutting off these third-party tools? Could it be also to protect data, and in theory protect the customer from having their data exposed to third-party tools?
Very likely. So, Jenny, what do you think?
Well, I think it's going to be slow adoption, and here's why. I think we're going to be forced into using it when they do cut off the API from the third-party scheduling tools, because as a marketer, it is so much easier to use one of the third-party tools that will allow you to share from one place to all platforms. So that I like, personally, I think it's a good move, and I think it's going to be slow adoption.
I tend to agree, actually, from the scheduling perspective. Now, because the reason I look at this is I think that Twitter, in a way, has they kind of missed that window.
Yeah.
And that window was users were primarily desktop users. Social media platforms came out. Instagram was primarily a mobile app. They now have moved to using mobile apps for a lot of things. So you've given people who were just a desktop third-party tool the ability to now have an app as well that kind of coincides. And there's not really a good Twitter one as well. So in this case, yeah, you're going back to desktop, but people are going to want to be able to do this on mobile. And they're always, obviously, as we mentioned, they're always looking for a shortcut, unfortunately. So I do tend to agree with you, Jenny, on this, that, they are they're kind of behind on this one. It's going to have some tough adoption. It's going to be a slow process. I do like the idea, though, of what if they removed API access, basically give business, a third-party company, some access to use the tool, maybe tap into some of the analytics features and whatnot. But hey, if you do schedule your content, we can give you more that you will not be able to get through a third-party tool. In a way, taking back some of that, the things that they've given a third-party company access to. Jem, what do you think?
No, I think you're both are on the money. I do see it as being slow adoption. I think and I would be curious to see when you schedule the tweet, what does that actually look like? Will it be difficult to compose the tweet in the way you would like to? Will I be able to upload a video tweet, or will that cause me some challenges that I'm able to do easier with third-party tools? So I'll be curious to see how robust that scheduling option is.
So you're going to get, as you can see, hopefully in the screenshot here, you're going to get the ability to do a date, a time, and a time zone. Aside from that, not a whole lot else to it. Available from twitter.com. Let me see if I can actually pull this up. So I don't have the scheduling option here yet.
Yeah.
In my menu, but I don't know. I like the idea of this. But again, they already have TweetDeck as well. Why not just start to roll this stuff together? You'd have a fantastic app. People would have a desktop app they could use. They got a mobile version as well. To me, that's just kind of surprising. They're a little slow with this, I think. So
yeah, the motivation is going to have to be either that they cut off all third-party APIs, or you get higher visibility by using it natively.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And overall, before we switch gears here, scheduling in general, what do you think about just scheduling your social media updates? Do y'all do a lot of that, or do you post them in the moment? Like, what do you do? Just overall, like, which preference, I guess?
I do a mix. I think that where a lot of people, if you want to say my perspective, social media, it's social. It's about engagement. And so, sure, you want to schedule some things because you want to put that out to get people to engage with you, but you have to be willing to go back and engage with them. So if all you're doing, in a sense, is posting and broadcasting, I don't think that scheduling is really going to help you. So I think it's a mix. I think it's good to be able to schedule things. If you're going to be, out, but you got to either have yourself engaging or have a team that's able to engage with your voice.
So Jenny, what do you think? Are you?
100%. We all of the clients and companies that I work with use a mix, but what Jim said is absolutely vital. If you post something and don't engage with the people who respond, it's just rude. Right? And so there are also reasons to make sure that when it is shared, that you engage immediately with anybody who likes or comments, because then it gains greater organic reach. And so there's, if you're going to schedule it, make sure you've got somebody there who's doing the listening to see, what's coming through.
Definitely. And the thing is, like, it's very easy to have the listening turned on your device. Just go into, if you're using Twitter, you're using Tweetbot, any of those, any of the apps, even the third party ones as well, like Agorapulse, for example, they have their dashboard and you can easily see who is responding to your conversation, and you can start that conversation with a person. So I would say this, like if I'm not at an event, for example, if I know I'm going to an event, I schedule my content ahead of time, make sure I also tell people, hey guys, I just like, it's part of the story. Hey, I'm going to this event. I may be offline, maybe a little bit, I may be slow in responding, but schedule a little bit of content if you're going to be at an event. But then also know that once I do that, I have to go back and I have to engage with the audience. And it really doesn't, it doesn't take much except a little bit of effort. And I think that's also the big thing. I think from a business perspective, a lot of businesses are like, well, hey, how does this company growing and I'm not growing, and it really comes down to what you're doing. So it's the same thing with social, don't just turn on the fire hose and be like, okay, ha ha ha, here you go. Here's all my tweets. And then just don't take the time to respond back to people. It's just not, it's bad etiquette. I think that's social media etiquette overall.
Listening is more powerful than than most business owners realize.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite stories, this doesn't have anything to do with scheduling, but it was so powerful. I was sitting in a restaurant here in Boise, Idaho, and it was I'll give them a shout out. It was Jakers, and I had the best service. And so while I was sitting there, I took a picture probably of my food and posted it on social and said, having the best experience at Jakers, whatever.
Yep.
Within minutes, the manager who was on duty responded to my post and said, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's a pleasure to have you, whatever. She could have said anything, to be honest. The fact that she responded and it was it blew my mind. And so here I am, a year later talking about it.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a fantastic thing because it's also, it makes the customer feel welcome. At the same time, like if you have, for example, we always talk about this, Jem, I think we talk about how if you're a restaurant, for example, you don't have your hostess or your wait staff, like you do not want them to be the ones managing your social media channels. You need to have a dedicated person that does this. Or if you are going to leverage all those people, you need to make sure that they get the proper training on how they go about doing this. What is considered the right way to respond to something. If somebody's got a really bad shift or they got a really bad experience with a customer, for example, you do not want them managing your social media channel without training them, because chances are they're going to say something bad, something negative, or something rude back to the customer. And hey, that customer's going to be like, hey, maybe you should get rid of this person, fire that person. So I think, I love the idea that the restaurant owner is actually responding. I think the other thing we need systems at restaurants or any type of business. You need a system in place. If somebody's using their, for instance, personal phone, you grant them maybe access to the channels, but they also know how they go about responding to things, and they have the notifications set up so that when that customer leaves, they're not like, that's a missed opportunity. So definitely something to have on, I think. Jen, anything you want to add to that?
Nope. That was perfect. Oh, I thought you said Jen. You said Jen.
Yeah.
No, I thought he said Jen too. No, I think that I agree. I mean, the restaurant thing, it's very fascinating. Recently, when I was living in North Carolina, there was this candy store, and they got raked over the coals on Facebook because they treated a customer the wrong way. And it was one of those things where I guess the owner was involved, and rather than coming on and like owning it, just turned into a firestorm, and they started getting all these bad reviews over one incident, and that's going to take a while for them to recover from, because they didn't handle it the right way, and that's where that power of social, it's kind of like the truth is somewhere in the middle, but you've got to own it as the business, and if you're wrong, move on. It's like when we talk about review management. So yeah, absolutely.
And I think a lot of businesses don't take the time to actually respond to the reviews. They immediately, like, if somebody's like, and this is the hardest part, I think, as a business owner, we want to be seen in a positive light. If somebody talks negative about us, says anything negative, we're always going to be defensive, even though we really shouldn't be defensive about something. So, it's definitely about just saying, well, hey, don't just immediately respond because you're angry, you're mad. Somebody said something about your business. Hey, they didn't like the food. If you don't respond, immediately, it's not going to like hurt anything. If you respond immediately and obviously use anger as like, to help you feel your words, I think you're going to do way more damage to your business.
100%. And I think we all have examples of that, where we've seen that on Google reviews, where the owner goes in and defends themselves or their company. It's like, whoa, I will not use that company. Yeah.
Absolutely. So anything you want to add on this new Twitter feature, the ability to schedule?
I took this off on a tangent. I'm sorry, but
No.
yeah.
Actually, does it actually get us into maybe the next Twitter topic, which is the Conversation Insights tool?
Ooh.
Yes, let's go there.
Okay, so what do we have going on here, Jem?
So the Conversation Insights is actually going to allow us in the media studio to start to see how some of the tweets we maybe missed where people are talking about our brand gives us a chance to better manage what's going on in our Twitter feed. I mean, it's funny in a way, because I know people talk about Jack all the time, right? We'll talk about Jack is why at some cases they've been so slow to adopt these changes that would make their platform more powerful, because you tend to have people think, oh, Twitter's just all this negative stuff. And there's really, it's the most open of all platforms.
So Jenny, what do you think about Twitter Conversation Insights, this new tool that they've got out?
To be perfectly honest, I have not had a chance to look at it and see what it is, but I'm always for increased tools. I mean, new tools to increase conversation. Social media is social. And if we are not having conversations human to human, then what's the point?
Yeah, I think here's the thing. I mean, I think like overall with this, this is the second tool for the Publisher Insights tool on Twitter. Conversation Insights, they find it, according to Twitter, they find and display tweets that you might ordinarily miss thanks to our content listening tools. They go beyond mentions and hashtags. And I love this. I love the idea of having this tool to be able to help surface content that a business might miss, because here's the thing. You can go and say, well, hey, I want to get a social listening tool, and you get a social listening tool, and it can kind of sort of give you a positive, negative look at the conversations that your business, of what people are saying about your business. But at the same time, like, you do have to read through the lines sometimes. And if you're sitting there trying to run your business and also trying to keep up with who is talking about it, it's really hard, and you're not going to catch everything. You have to remember, like, the news, nothing shuts off. It's 24 hours a day. So when you decide you want to step into that arena as a business, you need to also know that they're going to challenge your time. And as your business grows, as you get 1,000 followers, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 followers, and they start to engage with your business, you're going to have to engage back, which means you're going to have to scale up and have the staff to handle this. And you don't want necessarily somebody to sit there and have to just go through all of these conversations, just kind of looking for, in a way, a needle in a haystack. So it's good to have a tool, I think, since we're kind of moving into AI, to help handle some of this, to help take away some of that burden that your business might be experiencing, I think, overall, with trying to keep up with who's talking about your brand.
Yeah, I totally agree. As you were talking, there's one thing that I could see happening that could be something to avoid, and that is businesses using the conversation tool as now a way to engage, but in a spammy, salesy, slimy way, right? And so I recently had an experience on LinkedIn where I did announce my new role as Chief Marketing Officer of 360 Immersive. Well, this is not Twitter, but it's a conversation example. So people were engaging, sending me private messages saying, congrats on the new role, because LinkedIn prompts you to do that. And so, of course, I would respond, thank you so much, or something similar. And the very next message was, here's what I do. You should look at my stuff. And I was like, wow, stop, right? And so let's remember that conversations online have the same social rules as conversations offline, right? If you did that at a networking event, nobody would talk to you.
No, not at all. And there's a lot of people, there's a lot of marketers that do this, unfortunately, to people because they think like, because in a way the bar for marketing has been lowered so much that people just step in and they just think, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this. Some people don't know any better, but some people are also taught incorrect marketing practices. And, that's just not the right way to do things. So by the way, with this whole Twitter conversation insights tool, by the way, if you're a media studio user on Twitter, you have to have more than 1,000 followers to access this conversation insights via a new page housed under the insights tab, according to Twitter. Now, a couple other cool things about this. It's going to give you an interactive graph that displays how many tweets that are about you. So I think one thing this will help with is maybe I'm not following some of these accounts. Now I'll actually get an idea of who those top accounts are so that I can add them to a Twitter list, which is a very valuable resource if you are using Twitter and wanting to actually keep an eye on who's talking about you. Now, in addition to that, let's see, it's also going to add some filters as well. So your filters by people you're following or your followers, engagement thresholds, different languages. There's a wealth of information that you can gain, I think, with this conversation insights tool.
I'm
Jen,
excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to use it. Are you guys going to use it?
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth spending a little bit of time on to see also who is talking about your business. I think it gives you opportunities as well to maybe identify partnerships, for example. If somebody's talking a lot about you, maybe you want to identify them as a, hey, maybe we want to reach out to them about being a sponsor for a show. Maybe we want to reach out to them about, collaborating on a piece of content, a workshop, and so forth. Lots and lots of opportunities, I think, here.
Right. And I think people forget sometimes too, one of the things that Twitter has natively, it does have great analytics that are available to you in the dashboard as long as you're on desktop.
Definitely. So how do you get to that, by the way, Jim? You go to the Twitter dashboard, and then is there an insights tab or?
There's actually, I think it's analytics. I think it's on the left-hand side. I think you go under more now because they keep changing the dashboard, but you can actually just access it. If you pull yours up, I could probably guide you to it real quick.
And by the way, don't type in twitter.com/analytics, just a heads up, because that's actually going to take you to a Twitter account called
Analytics.
Yeah, which is very, I'm surprised that Twitter is actually allowing that.
Helpful tip.
But yeah, because I was trying to find, but actually, if you go to the dot option and you go to, actually, it's analytics.twitter.com. If you go to analytics.twitter.com, that will bring up the Twitter analytics for the account you are logged into. So not .com/analytics, but analytics.twitter.com. You can see how many tweets you're sending out, the impressions you're getting, and much, much, much more, as you can see here. So mentions, followers, and so on. So lots and lots and lots of options there for a user, especially a business trying to get into Twitter. So
can I just pause for a moment and compliment you on your branding? Social Chefs, like that branding is so on point and open and friendly and appealing. So congratulations. Well done on that.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, actually.
So good. I love it.
And I know more of the story to that too.
Yes, there's a little more to the story, yes. But just because I know everybody's got a hard stop today, we value everyone's time as well. Just a quick plug, by the way, we do have a daily newsletter that we send out by going to socialchefs.com/daily. So we aren't going to get to all the topics. I know today we had to think, 10 topics. We've got some tools as well to talk about. So go to socialchefs.com/daily. That will get you on our email newsletter. We'll send out the blog post recap along with the podcast and the Alexa flash briefing for those of you who want to listen as well to the show. So be sure to check those out. But that's socialchefs.com/daily. So Jim, where do you want to go next, by the way? Do we want to talk about a couple other Twitter topics? Do we want to maybe move that little Wikipedia topic?
Let's go to Wikipedia, because I think we definitely want to spend time on the tools, because I'm very excited to hear what Jenny Q has to say about the AR world.
So this week's update, this is actually an update from Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is not going to start charging you and all that sort of stuff to get placement necessarily. What they actually are doing is they're trying to come out with a Facebook, Twitter, social media platform alternative, which it's pretty surprising to me. What do y'all think, by the way, about this whole idea? Wikipedia coming out with WT Social. It will let users share articles. It's funded by donations rather than advertising. What do you think?
I mean, it's not a surprise in the sense that I think, one of the constant in social and in marketing in general is change. And so, like I was joking with you before the show, Christian, about like, I never had a MySpace account. And so even though Facebook is this behemoth, will Facebook be around forever, or will somebody come out with something that, is more relevant to people, because of things that have happened with their credibility in the eyes of the public. So it's not surprising, the fact that right now it's quote unquote free / donations as they develop it. But look what happened with Google Plus.
So Jenny, what do you think? WT Social, have you signed up for it? Are you going to sign up for it?
I'm going to sign up for it, and here's why. Like, so many startups have tried to be an alternative to Facebook, right? But Wikipedia has the name to back it up. They've got a good brand recognition, right? People like Wikipedia. And so it's an interesting concept. I do like it conceptually, but like I think Jim might have been alluding to, and correct me if I'm wrong, start out with donations, but it's going to be like any of the other platforms where they're like, now we have to monetize, and now it's going to change, and now we're going to, we've seen it with every single platform. It starts out being this amazing social network and organic reach, and then it's pay to play. So we can just expect that. I don't see how they could do it differently. It feels a lot like Reddit. When I read the description, it feels a lot like Reddit, where it's upvotes, right? Is it Reddit or Quora that does upvotes, or both?
Reddit for sure.
Yeah. And so, but Reddit still, like, the people who love it. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what features they roll out and how quickly people are willing to start investing more time in a new social platform. And maybe even more interesting will be which demographic leads the pack to that platform. My hunch is it's probably going to be the professional industries in the 30 to 45 age group, because they don't really have a place right now other than LinkedIn, but they don't have a super casual social platform that they hang out in. That's my total prediction. What do you guys think?
Here's what I think is actually going to happen. So Wikipedia, so a couple of things that it has going for it. One is it shows up typically always at the top of Google search. They have a huge backing of people that moderate the Wikipedia platform. So let's take Facebook as an example. So Facebook, they hire a bunch of people that, hey, they want them to watch videos, for example, and take them down and whatnot. Wikipedia already has that built in. So if you publish something, for example, on Wikipedia and it is inaccurate or it's done in a spammy way, for example, it's clearly marketing, they will immediately take that down. And we're talking like within seconds. By the time you publish it, it will already be down.
Right.
So I think they have that going for them. Now, the other side to it, they also talk about building communities, like building a community, building small communities versus trying to build this big, massive community where and I think like people want to feel like they're part of something. So I realize they can be part of a Facebook group, but then a Facebook group is typically overrun with people trying to talk about, what's in it for them. They're not doing it really just honestly. A lot of times they're doing it just for themselves. So I like that aspect. And then the other side is the donation aspect. Like Wikipedia is built on donations, and so like, I think that WT Social, instead of having to actually come in with ads, they have the donation part already down as well. So they've got the cachet as well with Wikipedia. And so I think that WT Social actually could have quite a bit of credibility going for it, getting people to join. Now, the hardest part, I think, is going to be how do you get people to, and this is the thing, how do you get people to honestly talk about your business? Like, for example, if you want to set up your own Wikipedia page, it's hard to do that, because it's coming from you. You're going to write it. You're going to try to write it in an unbiased way, but it might seem biased because you're writing it yourself. And so Wikipedia is already very good with taking that stuff down because they want other people to talk about your business versus the individual to talk about themselves. So I love the idea of this. I really do. I think that where most platforms fail is they immediately jump into advertising, and they haven't learned that people are tired of advertising. They want to be engaged. They want to have information, I think, that is truthful, that is accurate. And it is hard when you're on a social media platform because most of the time that comes from your network, what your friends post. And a lot of times maybe they don't read the content. They just publish it because, hey, the headline makes it seem like it's credible. Right? Hey, I found it on Google. It must be right. So that's where I see this going. Jim, what do you think?
No, I would agree with both of you. I think it's definitely something I will sign up for, if anything, just to listen, to see kind of where it's going. And then, we'll see where it goes. But I think ultimately to keep in business, they all have to monetize.
Definitely. Any parting thoughts on this one, Jenny?
Nope. I'll just go play with it.
Perfect. Yeah. And you can sign up for it. It's available at WT.social. So WT.social, that'll get you onto the Wikipedia social media platform.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, we're going to get to one of my favorite parts of the show. As I mentioned, we had other topics we did not get to cover today because there's simply too many really good ones. I mean, like I said, we had Twitter topics that came up right when we were going live. So we're going to talk about 2 tools this week that we think you as a business owner can get some value out of it. And like I said, Phil and I always talk about this. We always try to bring you tools that are also unique, ones that you might not know about. Not just like, oh, hey, it's a social media platform to go along with the other 20 social media platforms you already know about. So we have some tools that you can get some usefulness out of. Jim is going to present the first one, and then Jenny's going to present the second one. So let's kick off tool time with the first tool this week. And this is actually called Content Samurai. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. And then Jim, I don't know if you want to tell people what is Content Samurai, because you turned me on to this.
Right. So Content Samurai, Mike Alton sent this to me. He sent it out to his email list the other day, and it's a tool that literally lets you take your blog post or any sort of text and turn it into a video, and it's using AI in order to do that. So I've shared a tab. If you want to pull up, I can do a quick run through of what it looks like.
So let's do that. So here's Jim's. So this is the Content Samurai dashboard, right?
Yes. So I'm on the dashboard, and so you can pick any of these 5 different platforms, right? You got videos from a blog post, sales videos, videos for your online course, and so they've already kind of pre-populated them. So as an example, if I were just to pick this one, okay, I can customize it, which I've done with one, and then you get into the script. You write your script here. It based on what you put in it, it will pick scenes, which you can then replace with either your own video clips, but it uses its AI. So I'm going to show you a video that I've done. So this was one of my clients, a tax accountant, right? And so what it literally did is it took the script, and when I put it into the scenes and I said I wanted it, line by line, and hopefully this will pull up fairly quickly, it lets you go from scene to scene, and I can change out the picture. It picks pictures based on what it sees in that line, but you can upload your own images or scenes. And so I've literally created one I'm going to release tomorrow. So this is a preview for other people. For Follow Friday, I picked the 5 people and I uploaded their pictures, and I can let it zoom out. So this is going to ultimately play as a video with these 5 people that I'm going to upload to LinkedIn. And and I was able to say that each one of these frames will last for 3 seconds each. So it's a 15-second video, and I'm going to say why I think you should follow each of these people. It literally, of course, maybe a little bit more of it's my, playing around with this stuff, skill set, that it allowed me to basically create this video in a matter of minutes. And so the fact that you can upload your own video clips, you can upload your own, images even, And even like for a realtor, right? They have a property listing video, so they can upload pictures of a house, and you can also the voice. You can either they have a wide array of music, or you can use AI voices, or you can record your own voice over it. So I just think it's really an amazing tool, really quick and easy to create video. And even as an example, by having this text on there, we're helping the folks with accessibility issues, or the fact that people turn their volume off when they're looking at videos. Well, now they can read what you're trying to get across. So that's some of the things I found really cool about it.
So, and as Barb Tomlin mentioned here as well, she said she's had Content Samurai for almost a year now. I just reached out to her to see also, like, what does she think about it? It's a fantastic, I gotta say, like, Jim, you and I talked about this tool. I'm just amazed at how easy it makes it to be able to quickly create video. Jenny, what do you think about Content Samurai?
So based on this quick demonstration, I think that they have hit every critical point. The fact that you can go in and edit is going to be powerful for brands to make sure that every image, every text, every frame is on point with your messaging, because that will be vital. One thing that I would recommend for business owners and professionals to do is test a few different options and styles of videos, from how they look to the length to, which platform performs well. What I see here is some great variety. So make sure that you're choosing the template that matches the platform that you're going to be sharing it on.
Fantastic recommendation. So Jim, how much is Content Samurai, by the way?
So they have a free 7-day trial right now. And if you sign up now, they're kind of running like a Black Friday special. It's $35 a month, and you can go month to month. The nice thing is, once you get these videos made, and that was kind of like, hey, if you want to go out there for 7 days, make all the videos you want. Once you download those videos, they're yours.
Nice.
But I think, I can't beat, to me, that's a great price. I mean, if you're going to be doing a lot of video, and the fact that, like with the one I did for tomorrow, I was able to go in and take one of these templates and pick my brand color to make that, and then save it. So it's not like I have to always start from scratch. So you can create your own custom templates, to Jenny Q's point. And so I think it's, I'm really excited about it. I think it's definitely something I'll be using a lot more.
And I know, or go ahead, Jenny.
Well, I was just going to say the AI feature, you can't beat it. And we're just getting started with AI and how it integrates with apps and social. And so it's really cool that for that low of a cost, we're able to utilize it.
And I love the idea of just being able to put the text in there and have it automatically, create images off of that, like to pull in the image. This kind of reminds me a bit of Canva, except for video. And I realize Canva also has a video feature now. But this does so much more from a video perspective, and it's very easy to use. I mean, Jim, you and I talked about lots of ways that we could use it for repurposing episodes of Social Chatter. We talked about it like with people that don't like to be on camera, for example. They could easily do a voiceover with maybe some still images, create a bit of a slideshow, and do it all within this app. So Content Samurai, fantastic app, socialchefs.com/go/content-samurai. So we're going to move into the second tool and then wrap up the show. So the second tool this week is called Adobe Aero. Now, Adobe Aero is it's a tool that taps into the AR aspect. And Jenny, I know in your new role, I guess, you're leveraging AR. You're going to start to, right? So do you want to tell viewers about the Adobe Aero application?
Yeah, definitely. Before we go there, I just want to say we have not hit critical mass or even close with VR, AR, XR. And so it's very important for people who are listening right now to become aware of the power behind it. Like, we're familiar with VR, right? With the concept. Maybe we've gone to a VR trade show or seen a demonstration, or in my case, tried to do Richie's plank and couldn't even get my feet off because it was so real. The power of VR is the immersive experience, and that's how we can connect even further as humans. Safety training is what the company I'm with specializes in. So imagine the construction site with all the hazards, and now we can put people in that situation versus a PowerPoint training, and they can identify the hazard. So that's one application of it. Right. Now, Adobe Aero, I would love to ping to Jim because he actually created a little video, and I think we have it to show, where he created a robot in his living room.
So yes. I think we've got this, right, Jim?
Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get it to replay.
So how hard was this to create?
Well, believe it or not, I did that in like less than 5 minutes with their, of course, now it wants to go back to my next video. We like that video. We want the arrow back. So it basically has a tutorial built into the app. Okay. And you're able to, I'm going to remove that, but it was very simple. They have other elements that you can add. And so I think I'm going to remove that out if you want, because I know it keeps going back and forth. But it was very simple to do. And I mean, first, a caveman can do it, right? Me. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but I'm glad you. So,
no, go ahead, Jenny.
It didn't require coding, right?
Right.
It didn't require any education in VR development.
Right. I mean, and what was nice is, like, as it walked you through it, like the robot was originally really teeny, and literally I just pinched and dragged it to make him bigger. Okay. And then I put the wall behind it, which was also an AR wall. And and I could have actually talked over, like, you record it. So I didn't do that part because I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So, I guess if I wanted to get goofy, I could have said, take me to your leader or something like that. But it was very simple to use. And I think this also goes to, and I'm sure Jenny knows a lot more about it, Adobe and a lot of these AR companies are really working together, because Adobe, I think, is becoming one of the leaders in this space.
Well, this app definitely has potential, but I think it's targeted more towards casual use at the moment, which is understandable, and probably not to be seen yet as a bona fide development tool. And I could see developers actually using it, on their personal projects. But I honestly think that just to get an understanding of what VR, AR, XR is capable of, it would be a really cool app for everybody to download and do exactly what you did, Jim.
Right. Well, and I was very excited to play around with it, because as much as I would like to get more into AR, it's like, how do I start? And so I thought, for me, that was an easy way to at least get my interest. And I think, we talked earlier, and then maybe you want to talk more even too about, like, the 360 video and some of those things, and where you see that going, Jenny.
Well, yes. So as you guys know, Ross Brand of 360, I mean, not 360, Livestream Universe, he reaches out and does the predictions for the coming year. And so I submitted my prediction, and year in a row. And my prediction is for broadcasters, our viewers are going to want to be more immersed in our experiences. And so that's where 360 live video is going to be very powerful. And Christian, we were talking about, it's, the barrier of entry has now been lowered with cost. We've got the Insta360. You were mentioning the new GoPro. Yeah. And, it's exciting. It's exciting what technology is doing to help build the connections with people all over the world that we didn't even know existed. And now we're creating relationships with them through these technologies.
Definitely. I will say this, by the way, from an Adobe Aero standpoint, by the way, in order to use this, so the app is free to download. It's available. It's a freemium app, so it has in-app purchases, is what that means, basically. Now, And then you have to have the cloud storage option, obviously the Creative Cloud option. But if you're somebody, for example, say you know Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, this is definitely a skill you're going to want to have when thinking about how do you build something using augmented reality, because basically it's bringing in 3D layers and different objects and all that sort of stuff. You don't have to be a 3D modeling specialist in order to do this. It's all built in the app. It's pretty fantastic. As you can see here from these screenshots, I mean, it's very simple. You basically open the app, you place your content into the space, and then you can make things fit, and you can change the behavior as well. Basically, what you're doing is you're saying, this is the space I want to put it in. What are the behaviors of said object or objects in my space? Now, from a business perspective, I mean, I'd love to see, like, for example, some hats, for example, some shirts, that sort of stuff as well that could go into a space and interact. Like, for example, we're doing live video, kind of going into Jenny's point about 360 video. I'd love to have that sort of thing built into this. So that might be a fun project to test with. Hey, let me figure out how to build something so that when I move, it still is, there in the scene, for example. Maybe it's one of those little mic flags, for example. Hey, I don't have a mic flag, but it could also then maybe interact with my scene. But the other thing I also want to mention is, for those of you who hold on to your smartphones a lot, and I'm not always encouraging people to just constantly upgrade, you do want to have iPhone 8 Plus, iPhone 10, 11 Pro Max, as well as some of the newer iPads as well, if you want to tap into the Adobe Aero application and really get into augmented reality. Anything else you want to add, by the way, with this fantastic app?
I think people should just jump in and play.
And by the way, Adobe, I mean, it's a big community. Adobe is a very well-known company. If you don't know how you would possibly use this, check out some of the examples. They always provide fantastic tutorials, as well as just lots and lots and lots of templates and guides that you can look at. And then, maybe you spend some time playing with something. Like, for example, Jim's got this robot, but the robot might not be applicable to my business. But what I can do is I can go in and I can say, like, okay, hey, what does this actually do? What kinds of things can I do? And then think about it. Take some time, sit down, go to a coffee shop, for example, take some time by yourself, sit down and just think, hey, how could this actually apply to my business? What can I do to get some value out of this? So that's the Adobe Aero application. So I think we've reached the end of the show, by the way, this week. And I know everybody has a hard stop. So I got a couple of quick things to wrap up the show. But the first thing is, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to get the daily newsletter, socialchefs.com/daily, I will be publishing a blog post recap tomorrow, socialchefs.com/SC218. That'll get you to this week's episode. If you missed last week's, socialchefs.com/SC217, where you can check out the podcast, the Alexa flash briefing, and so on, as well as the YouTube video. Jenny, I want to say thank you so much for coming on this week. I mean, it's just been a pleasure having you on. I wish you a lot of success, by the way, in your new job as well. So good luck with that.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me on, Christian. Jim, as always, a pleasure. And yeah, this is a great show. I had a blast.
Thank you so much. So do you have any parting thoughts you want to share with viewers? Maybe ask them a question. Maybe they want to leave something in the comments.
I would be fascinated to know how many of the viewers have tippy-toed into virtual reality at any, whether you've, because we are so, a very small percentage of people have even put on a pair of goggles, right? A headset, right? So I'd like to know, have you done anything with VR? Have you used the headset? Have you created, well, now we've got the Adobe Aero where you can create your own. But I would really strongly encourage people to step in, because 5 years from now, you will have wished that you didn't wait till it was so advanced that it feels too big to understand.
So, Jim, thank you again, by the way, for filling in for Phil this week. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thanks for sharing your insights, and thanks for creating that robot. Actually, I mean, that's pretty pretty cool. So
Who would have known I could do it? That I could make a robot.
it's
What
very cool.
else you come up with, Jim?
Yeah. Well, Jenny, I'm excited to see what your company has to do, and what's the best way for us to follow what you guys are doing? Because obviously, I love sharing things like that with the community that I'm involved with.
Perfect. It's 360immersive.com.
Great.
Yep. So
Okay.
it's on all the platforms. It's 360 immersive, one word.
Awesome.
Fantastic. So for those who want to obviously connect with Jenny, she's at Jenny Q, I think, on most social media platforms, right?
Yeah, I couldn't get it on all of them. So on Instagram, I'm Jenny Q411.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's still very creative. So, and then at 360 Immersive as well, if you want to check out what all they're doing. Just a quick heads up, by the way, for viewers, next week, Phil and I and Jim, we're going to take the week off from the live show. Thanksgiving is next week. So we will be back live on 12/5. So that'll be December 5th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have Arjun Rand on, who is the founder of Hello Woofy. It's an AI-based social media dashboard. If you haven't checked that one out, but we're going to have him back on then. But I want to tell everybody, thanks a lot for watching and tuning in. Jim, Jenny.
Replacement.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. For those of you listening at home, thanks a lot for tuning in. We hope to see you on a future episode. But with that, we will see you all in 2 weeks. Thanks a lot.